A lot of people aren't talking about this yet, but Hong Kong is going to stop using the US Postal Service on April 27th as a reaction to these tariffs, and this is going to kill people. It is going to quietly kill thousands of people because we get so much medical supplies, prescription drugs out of Hong Kong's ports. And PPE stuff, diagnostic tools, things hospitals rely on. This is going to have huge disruptions to our medical supply chain. And if a diabetic doesn't have insulin in 48 hours, they could fucking die. There are a lot of people that could die if things like that are halted. I asked ChatGPT to give me a breakdown of what this could look like in deaths, and it doesn't look good. Its estimate is that in 1 to 3 months, this could kill around 5,000 people. In over a year, this could kill 100,000 people. And in things like a natural disaster, a pandemic, this would be even worse. Like after Hurricane Maria, 3,000 people died, not because of the storm, but because they couldn't get medical supplies and their prescriptions and shit. I'm not being dramatic. This is real. And this will kill a lot of people silently. A lot of people won't pay attention and keep track of the deaths that will be caused by this. We need to put pressure on Trump to end these tariffs because this trade war that's going on will kill Americans.
MAGA supporters are turning against Donald Trump. They're coming to the realization that President Trump is making policies that would only benefit his billionaire friends.
Well, shit is definitely about to get real because I just got my first tariff invoice in the mail, and I didn't even technically order these products. So I'm a UGC creator, so brands are sending me products all the time so that I can make content for them to post. It's literally just the things that I need so that I can do my job for them. And this particular brand is based out of France, and they sent me a package of some collagen powder, and this package was valued at $32.78. And the tariff rate when they sent the package was 6.3%. Meaning I owed $2.08 in tariffs on this package, which, okay, that's not that much. It's a relatively cheap package. But the brokerage fee that they're charging me on top of that is $14, meaning I owe $16.08, which is half the value of the package that they sent me. Additionally, I did not open this up soon enough, so I actually owe a 10% late fee on top of that, but I still feel like I'm getting off pretty lucky because, like I said, when they sent me this package, the tariff rate was only 6.3%, okay? And now, on a package coming from France, it's 20%. But also, looking at this, they didn't give me that much time to pay it. It looks like they invoiced me on March 21st, and this was due on April 1st. And since I opened it late, I obviously paid it late, so there was a 10% fee on that. So imagine now that your package is way more expensive than mine was, and then you have a 20% tariff on that, plus whatever the brokerage fee is, plus a 10% late fee if you don't pay it on time. Like I said, I got lucky with a 6.3% tariff rate. Okay, if they would have sent this just like a week and a half later, it would have been 20%. That's insane.
Make no mistake, RFK Jr. and this administration are coming for people with autism. Their plan, by this whole speech the other day, is setting the groundwork to justify removing these children from schools, removing them from the workplace, removing them from our society in general. Now, he's calling it a disease. It is a spectrum disorder, and people are all along that spectrum. But he's basically lumping everyone into the very high needs class where he's saying, you can't use the bathroom by yourself, you'll never have a job, you'll never pay taxes, you'll never date, you'll never have kids, so why are you even here? Guess what? That's the same logic the schmazzies used against people with disabilities. Want to know what they did to them? Do you really want to know? Yeah, they didn't exist. And if you were a low support needs individual, but say you had a mental illness like anxiety or depression, you know what they did to you if you could reproduce, if you were a woman? They would sterilize you because they didn't want you infecting the gene pool. This is what the administration has planned. I can almost guarantee that. And this rhetoric that we're hearing from RFK Jr., whose own family lobotomized their sister, really? You wouldn't put it past them? Interesting.
It will never cease to amaze me why so many Americans are convinced that Donald Trump is some amazing businessman. He has failed casinos, failed hotels, a failed football team, a failed university, and over 4,000 legal actions against him and numerous bankruptcies. He doesn't know how to run a business, and he certainly does not know how to run the country. And he showed us that the last time. And so many people are like, oh, just wait. He's going to do great things. These tariffs are so helpful to the U.S. No, they're not. They're tanking our economy. They are ruining small businesses. There will be people who are jobless and homeless as a result of this, and will still not blame the current administration.
The tariffs are going fantastic, just fantastic. Good time to get rich. Good time to get rich. Other countries have been taking advantage of us for many years, but we're not going to be taken advantage of anymore. We're pulling in trillions, billions, skadillions of dollars. What's your question?
Can you comment on the stock market, sir? It's down 3,000 points.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I've been playing golf. Not aware of any, Anyway, that's a nasty question. Nasty question. You're fake news. Fake news. Anyway, things are going great. Remember, I'm the president taxing penguins, not Putin.
My kid's school is cutting funding for special education next year. I didn't fucking vote for this. I did not vote for the fucking asshole in office. I got an email from my kid's teacher last night that they're leaving the school. Mind you, I'm close with this teacher, so they texted me personally. Said the school's gonna look a lot different next year and they're very sorry. I'm fucking sick. I'm beyond fucking sick. The main reason majority of you fucking assholes voted this fucking asshole into office is because a woman of color was running. Because America is too racist and misogynist and sexist. So now our children have to suffer. Your children will have to suffer too. But you're the ones who actually voted for this shit. I'm sick to my stomach for what my kid's future holds.
I've had enough. Yeah, I've had enough of this horse shit. I don't give a shit what kind of law you make. I ain't gonna follow it. I ain't paying my taxes this year. I just don't even care. I'm not gonna be ruled by tyrants. I'm done. No taxes. I'm not following your goddamn laws that you make that are arbitrary and unconstitutional. I just ain't doing it. I've had fucking enough of your bullshit. Washington State, Oregon, California, kiss my ass. I ain't following no more laws. No more new laws that don't make no sense. Your little snitch line and all your bullshit you got going on, I'm not doing it. I'm not funding your scams and your NGOs and your fucking bullshit. Your wars, your thieving. Yeah, thieving. You loudmouth politicians that don't give a fuck about the common person. I'm done. I've had enough. I am no longer going to participate in your horse shit. And I don't give a fuck what you try to take from me. I come into this world with nothing. I'll go out with nothing. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you and fuck off. And on top of that, you best leave me the fuck alone, because you won't like the results if you come out here and try to stomp on my neck. It won't end well. I'm old. And I'm mean as fuck. Leave me alone.
Do you know how much a Chinese factory make for a pair of Nike shoes? $10, which sells $150 on the shelf. A Stanley Cup, $50. The factory gets $1. But when they sell millions of them, that's millions of dollars. And all surplus. That's where the surplus come from. But for every $1 the factory made, somebody in America is making $49.
I'm gonna have to work until I die, aren't I? I just looked at my retirement account. I don't recommend doing that. it was not good. I used to think that I wanted to live to be 103, and now I am realizing that that is the dream of an elder millennial who graduated college in 06 with nothing to lose. I worked a few years and saved a couple of bucks, and then the market crashed and home prices were dirt cheap, and I capitalized on that, took my $8 down payment and bought a house, and then just saw gains. For many years, things were good. For a while, for a lot of people. And now, like 20 years later almost, from graduating, I actually have skin in the game. I have equity and I have investments, had investments. Don't look at your it's not good.
We have some big news right now. Get ready for your coffee prices, your banana prices, and your toilet prices to start rising fast because of these tariffs. According to the Consumer Brands Association, which represents Procter & Gamble and Coca-Cola and other US-based companies, Americans will now have to pay more for critical products that they use on a daily basis. For example, coffee. Coffee is imported into the United States. Almost all of our coffee comes from countries like Brazil and Colombia, where tariffs will now be increased. Meanwhile, bananas. 40% of America's bananas come from Guatemala, which now has a 10% tariff on it. Vanilla. The price of vanilla is going to go up. We import almost all of our vanilla from Madagascar, and now Madagascar has a 47% tariff on it. Cereal is going to go up. 90% of the oats milled in the United States for cereal comes from Canada, which now has a larger tariff.
I'm seeing more and more people online saying, well, I voted for Trump, but I didn't vote to lose my job, and I didn't vote for a global trade war, and I didn't vote for Elon Musk to run amok in the government, slashing agencies and cutting jobs, and I didn't vote to see America's allies cast aside. Oh, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course you voted for that. You were perfectly happy to see all that happen as long as it didn't happen to you. And now that the leopard is eating your face, suddenly you've changed your tune. Well, you get no sympathy from me. You voted for that. You wanted that. So you sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. I don't care what happens to you. I just want you to feel the pain that you brought on yourself, because that is the only way you can learn.
60% of Latinos voted for Trump in this election. And to think that my vote was going towards protecting my people. The fact that I was absolutely horrified at the thought of Trump becoming president because of the effects that it will have on our people. I voted for those Latinos that don't have a voice in this country. For the Latinos that are the backbone of this country and don't receive shit. I voted for the Latinos that have been nothing but good people in this country, paying taxes and have no criminal records, only to find out that it's our own people turning against us. I am truly disgusted.
I just wanted to tell y'all I spent $100 at the grocery store on these items. $100 damn for 5 bags, 2 items, a drink, and some chicken, and some vegetables. The fuck going on in America?
I have 2 neighbors that are big Trump supporters, and they're very loud about it. During the election, they had Trump flags, Trump banners, Trump balloons, Trump signs, everything. When I saw those things, I was like, how is this not a cult? After the election, they took down everything, of course, they had to. But they kept their flags. It's, an American flag with Trump's face on it. Yesterday, however, when I drove past their houses, I saw that both of them took down their flags. I was like, I wonder what happened. Did their daddy do something that hurt their feelings? This is very interesting.
Let's talk about the women and children, because where are they? That's a good question I keep getting. We keep seeing men, right, getting their heads shaved, put in shackles, and being deported to that prison in El Salvador. What are they doing with the women? Well, I went digging and I found a couple answers, and you're not going to like them. First fear was confirmed when I thought to myself, if you shaved everyone on that flight's head and put them in big shirts, you could probably hide some women in there. And they did. You heard that correctly. They tried to send some women to that El Salvador prison, but they sent them back. And the women came back and told us some pretty concerning things that were going on that I'm surprised no one else is talking about. They were lied to about where they were going. They were told they were just going to Venezuela. On top of the conditions, they said officials were having the men sign a document that they didn't want to. That doesn't sound super legal to me. They said government officials were pushing them to sign documents and threatening them. They claimed to have heard them discussing the documents and saying they were about men admitting that they were members of these gangs. which would have then allowed Donnie to enact the Alien Enemies Act. That sounds a lot like coercion, and it would explain why about 90% of the migrants already deported to El Salvador had no U.S. criminal record found. And yet they keep insisting that they're all super dangerous gang members. But where were the rest of the women and children going? Mostly to somewhere referred to as Detention Alley. It's a stretch between Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi that is a network of some of the country's largest remote immigration detention centers. That's most likely where most of the women and children are going, but that raises a good point. How come their stories aren't being shared?
I didn't know that he was going to take my husband's tractors away. Also, I did not know that it was going to mean that my little boy was not going to be able to go to Head Start no more. And then I did not know that we was going to be out all of the cashes from the food stuff. I did not know we was going to be losing that money, okay? We need it. And then I heard that they was going to mess with Papaw's Social Security. And this is just a little bit more than we can stomach around here, if you know what I mean. So I don't know who we need to call to fix this. We need to call somebody and talk to the manager.
So it's official. My wife is divorcing me. She said she couldn't be with the Trump supporter. Told me I have it till the end of the day to get my shit out of the house, get all my things. I should change the lock. She doesn't want me back. She says she's taking the kids away from me.
Can't be the only person who feels like this. So I'm 30 years old. I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for 4 months. I literally can't get a job. I've applied to over 150 jobs. I now have negative $4.41 in my savings account because of the monthly service fee that just hit. I don't know when I'm going to get a job. I feel very lost. This feeling of being unemployed and applying to jobs and retailing your resume, getting rejected, and then seeing the job reposted literally 2 weeks later is demoralizing. And remembering that I am still worthy and I am still valuable has been very difficult. I left my last job because it was destroying my mental and physical health. I liked the job, but I just couldn't do it anymore. And so I applied to a new job, and I was going to make the most money I was ever supposed to make in my life. And they laid me off 4 days before I was supposed to start due to company reorganization. And I haven't been able to find a job since. I don't have a Roth IRA. I don't have any type of investment accounts. I don't know if I'll ever own a house. I am married, but we're both children, to be quite honest with you. I live in an apartment that we can no longer afford because I lost my job, moved down here for the job that laid me off 4 days before I was supposed to start. So when you sign a lease, you just can't get out of it like that. That's not how that works.
Are we great yet? I am one of the newer victims of the Doge cuts under the Trump administration. My role was an outreach person for the 988 mental health hotline. Because my job was to promote its use and go to events and make sure the public knew about it and how great of a resource it is. And the company that I work for, which is a nonprofit, laid me off because of their impacts on funding, and the money that pays my job is now no longer theirs to give. So
I think a lot of you guys are about to find out exactly how replaceable the United States is, because arguably the only American export that cannot actually be replaced by another country, technically, is American culture via American media, and that's already been happening. As someone who works in the film industry, or worked, because at this rate, I don't know that I ever will again, the film industry moving overseas is a harbinger for what is to come, and not necessarily in the sense of like, oh, they're moving the jobs overseas. No. This is a lot bigger than that. So despite what you may think, and despite the metrics saying that it's crude oil, I would argue that media and entertainment is actually America's biggest export. The global media and entertainment industry is worth around $2.8 trillion. This doesn't just include movies, it's also TV, broadcasting, radio, books, video games, all sorts of stuff. But the US, while it's not a leader in all of these sectors, it is definitely a leader in film and TV and advertising. And in total, the US's share of the media and entertainment industry is around $649 billion. Thing is, the media and entertainment industry isn't just good for the US because it brings in a lot of money. It's also doing a lot of the heavy lifting for how the US is able to maintain its power globally. Because if you provide the entertainment for people, then you control the message. It helps to export and normalize this whole narrative about the American dream, the American way of life, the American culture, and it helps maintain the illusion of America. And as a result, people want more of it, right? So American media helps propagate this idea of America, which makes America quite fascinating. It's essentially like this self-fulfilling cycle. And belief in the US ultimately sustains everything that it has going on for itself. Because again, the US doesn't create anything that another country can't create. Even the big, like, innovative ideas, right? 2/3 of Silicon Valley is foreign. As you may know, the film industry has had a rough few years, but now in the film industry, a lot of jobs are going overseas. US production was down 40% in the second quarter of 2024 compared to its 2022 peak, but it was only down 20% in the rest of the world. Netflix and Amazon account for 53% of original streaming content production, and around 70% of those shows and movies are non-US productions. They've also been reducing English content acquisitions while increasing non-English content acquisitions. In part, yes, it's because labor and costs are higher in the US than elsewhere, and soon about to be much higher. But the bigger issue is that they're realizing that media doesn't have to be American anymore. It's only going to get worse now that no one likes America, and we've shattered the whole American dream illusion. Turns out, just about everyone else in the world is pretty good at ingesting media that was not created in their country or culture, because they've always done it, while Americans are pretty bad at it. And this is in large part a result of the US exporting so much media. I grew up in Spain, and most of the media we consumed was American media. As a result, I and many other people in Spain are very, very comfortable watching things that are dubbed and subtitled. Most countries, you dub or subtitle something. In the US, you make a US version remake. The one benefit the US always had with Hollywood and entertainment and whatnot is that American culture thing. But now, with shows like Casa de Papel or Money Heist and Squid Game, companies like Netflix are figuring out that they can make very, very successful shows that are not American media, and the rest of the world will eat it up. This is not just about jobs lost. The real issue is that the US's power entirely comes from its ability to create a need for itself. Just like with the military, right? They whine about over-reliance on the US military. That's by design. We made it so that other countries would rely on us for something because the reliance is our power. Same with the dollar standard. It is artificial need and exported desire. And that makes everything else possible. It's why people invest in America. It's why smart and talented people move to America. It's why people buy American products. The only irreplaceable part of America is the illusion that we have shattered.
This is coming from a place of hurt, y'all, because I'm very grateful for a lot of things and the opportunity I have, but it can get really stressful sometimes because of people's own personal stories and issues and problems with their DACA. I've never had issues with renewing my DACA as much until this year. My DACA got filed incorrectly, so I had to refile it again as an emergency situation, and had been here waiting for processing even though my DACA has already expired. And I finally got my appointment to go get the last bit of my screening and fingerprints and stuff, and I show up to the place that I go to. It's about an hour away from my house, and they're closed, and I have to reschedule. I don't want to cry anymore. I'm tired of hurting. But this has affected so much of my mental health. And I don't want to be weak and cry about it, but sometimes I hold everything and
and this happens, and I don't have anyone to really talk about it because I feel like I talk about it so much. I talk about it so much to the point where I feel like I'm repeating myself. So I'm just frustrated because the office is closed because of mourning for Jimmy Carter, which we mourn for him, but I just wish I had an email or something because I just show up to basically another closed door temporarily again, and I'm having to reschedule and figure out how I'm gonna do another half month without the security of my life right now.